Hello, everyone. Welcome to A Turn of Events, where we help put a positive spin on the nature of your business, on the future of your business. I'm Annette Naif, the CEO and Creative Director of Naif Productions. We are a strategic event production company based in New York City. We specialize in corporate, social, nonprofit, and weddings. We do virtual, hybrid, and live events. We are actually doing our first live. It's a hybrid event, but I feel like it's live because we're going to have 100 people there in Orlando in a couple weeks. So I'm really excited, and we have like 500 people that are live streaming in. We have lots of lots of exhibitors and speakers, and so it's just going to be really, really great. And so we're excited about that. So if you have an event and you're not sure what to do with it right now, you want to take it. Can be a wedding, it can be a a social thing, or corporate, nonprofits. We'd love to talk to you about it and help you take it from a live to virtual or hybrid or even live. We're booking lots of live things right now in the coming months. So we'd love to talk to you about it. If you are an event planner or wedding planner and you are looking to start your own business, we'd love to talk to you about that. Join us in my Facebook group. Is the Event Planner Society. Event Planner Society is a Facebook group. Lots of great information in there. Lots of videos. We even stream this in there. So we would love to have you in Event Planner Society. So join us over there. Okay, so we are going to talk about how to commit to money, which is really, really, I love talking about money, and I know it's a scary thing for people. So my next guest, who I'm really excited about, is Dr. Debra Fryer. She is a transformational business coach and creativity catalyst. She helps heart-centered healers, coaches, and entrepreneurs master the mind-body money connection and develop a millionaire mindset so they can enjoy greater confidence, wealth, authenticity, and freedom being themselves. So let's welcome Deborah. How are you?
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited that you're here, and I love talking about money, even though it could be a scary thing sometimes. So why don't you first tell everybody who you are, what you're all about. We'd love to hear more about you.
I love what you just said. Money can be so scary. That's what we're going to talk about. So you just introduced me. My name is Deborah Fryer, and I'm an accidental money mindset coach. I had a very unharmonious relationship with money growing up. I had this belief that I was spiritual, and spiritual people don't make money. I didn't like money. I thought I was a starving artist. I was a documentary filmmaker, and I loved all of these boxes that I put myself in. However, when we put ourselves into a box and we want something that's not in the box, that's a conflict. And I think that's what we're going to talk about today, because you're all here because you're having events. Either you're planning events and you're planning on making money at your event, or you're helping somebody else plan an event and you're helping them make money with their event. So in either case, you got to be good with money. And if you're not good with receiving money, if you're not good with being in a really healthy, committed relationship to money, you're going to have a hard time. So that's what we're going to talk about.
Yes, yes, yes. And if you guys have any questions, put them in the chat. We'd love to answer your questions. Okay, so let's get started. So what is the role of the subconscious mind
with respect to money?
Yes.
So we're all wired for what's called a negativity bias. What that means is that we're wired to look for, how are we going to get in trouble? How are we going to be attacked? How are we different from something out there? And in ye olden times, there were real threats like saber-toothed tigers or, violent weather, etc. And if something is threatening your life, you want to be on high alert. However, our consciousness has evolved faster than our nervous systems. Mm-hmm. So our nervous systems are wired to react to anything that is perceived as danger. This is what's the negativity bias, right? If it's perceived as being scary or threatening to us, to our lives, to our survival, we will either go into fight or we'll go into freeze, fight, flight, or freeze. So we'll either fight or fly away, right? Avoid, or freeze. We'll be paralyzed. What does that show up like in your business? You may discover that you're constantly in battle. You're constantly in struggle. You may even notice yourself saying things like, I'm working really, 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 really hard and I'm not getting the results I want. Or this client just bailed on me and what am I going to do? Or the venue just pulled out and what am I going to do? Or I'm not meeting my F&B, whatever. Like you come up with some struggly kind of thing, right? You know what I'm talking about? Do you ever
Yes.
notice that with your clients?
Yes, of course, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
they're spending a lot of money, so there's a lot of fear around it.
Right, of course. And, I've done live events and I know it's scary. And the very first time I did it, I was like, oh my God, I have to put all that on my credit card. And every couple of days I was calling my credit card, like, can I have a bigger limit? Can I have a bigger limit? Can I have a bigger limit?
Yeah,
And, like at this point, it's like, that's what we're doing because you're going to put in X and you're going to receive 10X on the other end of it. So it's not a big deal. But that's the after picture. The before picture is we're wired for negativity, this negativity bias. What Rick Hansen, who's a leader in this mindfulness space, he says we're like Teflon to negativity. That is, the negativity just sticks to us, right? We remember all the times we failed, all the times we lost money, all the times people got mad at us, all the times we disappointed people. All of those things, my friends, are your ego's version of you protecting you. It's not really a saber-toothed tiger. Your house isn't burning down. Right. You're afraid of somebody's approval or disapproval of you. Do they like you? Do they not? Are they judging you favorably or unfavorably? So we're like Teflon. I mean, we're like Velcro to those kinds of things. Negative things stick to us. I might have said it backwards. We're like Velcro to negativity because the negativity, it just sticks to us. Why? Because we're wired to be afraid. We want to fit in. We want to be liked. Right. And the positive stuff, the compliments, oh my God, you did an amazing job, that just rolls right off us. So we're like Teflon to the positive, and we're like Velcro to the negative. Now, what does this have to do with your business? Well, if you haven't done the inner work of recognizing, oh, that's just my conditioning making up a story, you might get stuck there. And you might, number one, never put on an event at all. In which case, you don't get to serve your clients. You don't get to make, 6 figures in a day, which is super fun, or multiple 6 figures in a day, which is super fun. Right. You don't get to get your message out to your clients who are waiting to hear your message. So, not only do you deprive yourself of something that is rewarding for you, doing what's your zone of genius, you're depriving your client of receiving what is rewarding for them. Does this make sense?
Yes, for sure. And also, weather is not our friend these days right now. Okay, so the one thing I want to say about that is, so as a planner, as a producer, when you're presenting the budget to a client, you can't take that personally. If the client wants to have like this grand event or wedding or whatever that is, that's on them. So you present. Totally. You can't take that like, oh my gosh, they're not going to accept this budget. You find out other ways to deal with the money situation. But I used to, when I first started, I'd be presenting something like, oh my God, they're never going to, accept this. But here's the deal. They have to realize that they have this grand dream and they're just going to have to bring it down and get it within their budget. So there is that fear as a presenter, as a producer, and you're presenting this to the client of, are they going to accept this budget? Is it going to be my fault? And all of that. So I mean, that's just kind of one thing.
And well, in that, it pertains exactly directly to your question about what's the role of the subconscious mind. Yeah. So if you're presenting something to your client of, here's what the budget is, number one, you just hit the nail on the head. You can't take that personally. You're presenting the best venue, the best rates. You've already done the negotiation. You already understand what goes into putting on a live event. They're trusting you to be the one to have all the balls in the air and to do the pre-negotiation, to do the pre-vetting, to figure out what the best deal is for them. And then you're presenting them the best deal for them. You need to stay out of their wallets, right? So if your subconscious mind is going, oh, they're going to reject me, that's your subconscious conditioning that you need to clear. Otherwise, you're going to project that on your client. And guess what? If you're running something subconsciously, which accounts for about 95% of everything you think, everything you do, all your actions, all your behaviors, all your beliefs, your subconscious is really the one driving. Right. So if you're walking around with a subconscious belief that says, they're never going to go for this budget, guess what? They won't. They're going to reject your budget. Right. And then you're going to prove yourself right. You're going to be like, oh God, I knew they weren't going to. So you've got to do the inner work. Right. On yourself so that you're clear that you're presenting the best option to them. There's a lot of education for the client.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah. I have the same conversation with my clients because every conversation is an enrollment conversation. And if you've enrolled yourself first that they're going to reject your budget, you need to rewind your subconscious mind and rewire so that you know I'm an expert in this. You've been producing events for 20 plus years, right?
30 plus.
Okay, 30 plus. So I'm hiring you, like I'm trusting that you know what you're doing.
Right.
And you forgot that. If you're projecting your scarcity onto me, you totally were like in your own head. You were all in your own ego about what are they going to think of me. So let's just flip the story. Let's say I'm your client and I'm coming to you and I'm saying, Annette, I'm doing my first live event and, you know, I'm planning on bringing in $500,000 at the live event and I have no idea what I'm doing. Can you help me? I need you. I'm trusting you. You have 30 years of experience. I'm hiring you for your experience. So you've got to be holding that confidence and that conviction for me, your client, who's really nervous. Because you've done this before and I, your client, haven't. Right? Does this make sense?
Yes.
And I have done live events and I've also been a documentary film producer working with $1 million budgets. So I've been on both sides of the equation. And you know, it's so important for you who are producing events to know that the most reassuring thing that you can possibly offer to your client is your confidence.
Confidence.
Is your calmness.
You know, I coach event planners and wedding planners on starting their business and you know, struggling in their current businesses. I say it all the time, especially when you're presenting your proposal. You can't be wishy-washy in presenting your proposal. Just you know, just be super confident. This is what I charge. This is what you're going to get. We're giving you all kinds of bonuses here, whatever that looks like. And then, so your confidence is going to come across to them. If you aren't confident in presenting your proposal, they're going to think you're not confident in producing the event. So I think
and because of mirror neurons, because of the way our subconsciouses are all interconnected, because we're all in the same field. So if you're coming to me and you're scared, what you need is for me to be rock solid. You need for me to own my authority. You need for me to be calm and loving and reassuring and not buy into your chaos. And if I do that, all of a sudden, subconsciously, now you, the client, are in the leadership role and you're going to feel really insecure because you phoned me up to be, or you emailed me or you DM'd me or something to say, you know, Deborah, can you help me? And all of a sudden, I'm over here in the helpless position. You're going to lose clients that way. Does that make sense?
Yes, it totally makes sense. And so on this subconscious programming, how does it affect our life?
Well, you know, the way we do anything is the way we do everything. The subconscious and the conscious mind really are energetic expressions that each one of us is filtering. So I can choose to look at a situation and disqualify myself, or I can choose to look at a situation and say, I'm in, right? Let's bring this back to you're presenting a budget to your client. If you assume that your client is going to reject it, you have disqualified you and them before you even presented it to them. And a thought is simply energy, right? You can't touch it. You can't smell it. It's just simply, you know, a vibration that creates a certain feeling in the body. And the feeling in the body, we call that emotion. Emotion takes about 90 seconds. If you keep attaching to it and then you layer a story onto the emotion, all of a sudden it becomes a thing. Like, they're going to reject me. This is too much. They're not going to trust me. I'm not worth it. You know, you're going to be projecting all your own crap into the thing that you're presenting. And, you know, if the hotel room costs $30,000, does that mean that you're not worth $30,000? No, that would be completely ridiculous. We're talking about how much does it cost to rent a hotel, not you, right? But like in our subconscious, they get all twisted up, right? So if you don't unhook from some of the tangled perceptions that you've been walking around with, you will unconsciously be projecting that everywhere. You'll, you know, we talked about, okay, you projected onto a client, they're going to reject you. You might also project onto a relationship. Oh, like I have a couple dates and then I think the person is, you know, like maybe there's something there. But because you're projecting, he's going to reject me, he's going to reject me, he's going to reject me, pretty soon, you're going to create a reason for him to reject you. You'll show up late. You'll, you know, you won't clean up your house. You'll, you know, I don't know what it is. Not that your house has to be clean to impress anybody. That wasn't a very good example. But, you know, you get what I'm saying, right? And you'll see that it starts affecting everything in your life. You'll, you know, so many clients come to me for money mindset, which is, what it kind of says on the shingle of my business. But truly, once they're inside, the deeper work that we're doing is about your value, your worthiness, and unhooking from some of the things that people said to us when we were little. Like, let's say I was a super, super creative child. I'm still a super, super creative child. And when I was little, I had one of those 64 Crayola crayons with the little sharpener in the back. And I scribbled all over the wall. I saw a big wall in the living room. It was a big white canvas. And I was like, oh, how fun. And I scribbled all over, and I got in really big trouble for that. And I learned it wasn't okay to be creative. Now that was not actually the message. The message was, don't draw on the wall. Like, you can draw on the paper, don't draw on the wall. That wasn't the message. But I interpreted that as, if I'm creative, I'm unlovable. And for years, I shut down my creativity because I thought if I was creative, it meant I was unlovable. I got in trouble once when I was 2 or 3, and that anchored itself in my subconscious, and I had to go in and retrieve that and reframe it and unhook from it to realize that, it's safe for me to be creative. And in fact, it's the source of my business. My creativity is the source of my business.
I was raised the same way, that you can't write on the wall. I have a friend who let her kids use one wall in their room, and they were allowed to write on the walls, and I was mortified. I was like, oh my God. But later on, I realized what a great thing. And they, she taught them, you just put it here, and that's what you're allowed to do. And it was actually, after years of it, it was just quite lovely. It was just really an awesome piece. So I was raised the same way, that you're not allowed to do that. Instead of, I guess our parents didn't realize there's other ways to teach that. But okay, so
and it's funny you say that, because later in my life, I remember, I haven't thought about this in years, but when I was 7, we moved into a new house. And in the new house, I, of course, still was super creative. I still wanted to write on the walls. So my mom had a genius idea. She made the entire wall behind my bed cork. Oh. And I painted it yellow, because at the time that was my favorite color. And so I had an entire wall of yellow cork, and I could stick as many thumbtacks in it as I wanted. Because when I graduated to being, 6 or 7 years old, I was putting thumbtacks everywhere because I wanted my art up on the wall. I knew I couldn't write on the wall, but I could thumbtack my art on the wall. And that was still a no-no, because I was still destroying the wall.
Well, now
actually the work I do now is helping people destroy walls.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we're having this conversation.
And we have chalk walls now, so that's awesome. Okay. Yep. How do limiting beliefs affect our ability to set and achieve our goals?
Well, so let's bring it back to money again. So let's say you have a limiting belief. And this is actually a real one that I had before I broke through it. So I was a filmmaker. I'm still a filmmaker. But when I was struggling as a filmmaker, I was afraid to charge because I was afraid to have money. If I had money, it meant I was a terrible, horrible, awful person, because I thought that people who had a lot of money were terrible, horrible, awful people. I thought people who had money were exploitative, they were manipulative, they trashed the environment, and I didn't want to be thought of as exploitative or manipulative or trashing the environment. So the easiest way for me not to be thought of like that was to just not have money.
Right.
And this is like a total rat's nest, because I don't control what anybody thinks of me. But at the time, I didn't know that. So the subconscious response was, I'm just not going to have money. I'm just going to work for free. Okay, so there I am, award-winning documentary filmmaker. I make films that are on Nova, they're on Frontline, they're on MSNBC, they're on the History Channel, they're on PBS. I'm super good at what I do. I create amazing content that is seen by millions and millions of people around the country, if not the world, because of live streaming. And I didn't charge for it. Why?
That's crazy.
Because I was afraid to have money, because I was afraid of money, because I was afraid of what people were going to think of me if I had money, right? Completely crazy. And then there was a day where I sat down and I did a little Excel spreadsheet of what did the project cost? Like, what did it actually cost? Mm-hmm. Down to every staple, every piece of Xerox paper, every printer cartridge, all the electricity to do my editing, all the gas to drive to all the film shoots or fly to all the film shoots, which I never charged for.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy, right? All I charged for was like $25 an hour for my time.
Oh my
You
God.
know, award-winning filmmaker, right? Crazy, right? Like this was a self-confidence issue. This was a self-esteem issue. This was a self-worth issue. And I actually bring filmmaking into the coaching I do with people now because it's one of my areas of expertise. And we're writing and scripting and starring in our own movie. So what does your subconscious have to do with your results? Everything.
Right.
If you write a tiny little role for yourself, which is what I did, then you live a tiny little life, which is what I did. And you receive a tiny little bit of money, which is what I did. And then I had to break down the walls of that box and realize, oh, I could actually charge for mileage. I know it sounds silly right now, but you know, like how many people do this? How many people are producing events and you're not charging for the mileage every time you're back and forth and back and forth and back and forth to the event? I mean, that's an expense that you should be charging for.
I teach that. They don't know all the expenses that they should be including. So
Do they?
you know, I teach that as well.
Yeah.
I think that's so crazy. When I first started my business, I wasn't sure how to price myself. And so you go through those pains of how much time it takes to do everything. And then when you finally look at it, I ended up paying myself I was paid a negative $52 an hour after I figured it out. I was like, oh my God. So when you figure that out, it really changes your perspective and you sort of, you'll look at that again,
Yeah. And then you won't do that again. Yeah. It's so true. And it's so important. And and it's not natural, especially for women. Yeah. We're so used to giving and over giving, and we want people to be happy. We love community. We love when everybody's happy. I mean, it's just in our nature, right? As nurturers, and we're inclusive, and we want to include everything. And it's just a little tweak to remember, well, you get to include you in the mix.
Yeah. So how do we change our money story?
Well, this is a very big topic. I would say I'd break it down into three main high-level things. Number one, you've got to recognize that you have a money story in the first place, which means you have to take responsibility for your money story. You need to realize that you have been telling yourself a story that is creating your results. That's number one. Because if you're going to blame your parents or blame the economy or blame the pandemic or blame the government or blame your husband or your ex or your kids or your health or any gajillion things that you'd like to blame, that's you not taking responsibility. That's you needing them to fix something so that something shifts for you. Mm-hmm. That's not an empowered stance. Mm-hmm. So I would say step one is for you to recognize, wow, I have a money story, and my money story is I can't make more than, I don't know, $70,000, or I can't break through six figures, or I can't break through multiple six figures, or I can't break through seven figures, right? That's a story. That's not true. Right. That's simply a reflection of what you have proven to yourself you're capable of up until now. All you're looking at is the past. Right. So number one, you got to recognize that you do have a money story. Because if you keep blaming people, you're not taking responsibility for yourself. So number one, take responsibility that you do have a money story. Number two, you need to change it. The only way we can change something that's operating at the subconscious level is through the subconscious level. Your conscious mind, which operates about 5% of your beliefs and habits and thoughts and actions, your conscious mind cannot create something new, because your conscious mind is only going into the reference files of what it has already learned or already experienced or already done. Right? Your conscious mind is looking actually backward into your memory. So let's say you're right around 90,000, you want to break six figures, or let's say, you're in multiple sixes, you want to break 500,000, or let's say you're at 700,000, you want to break seven figures, whatever it is, like there's some next level money goal that you have. And it doesn't have to be a money goal. It could be, I want to weigh a certain amount. I want to feel a certain amount of fitness. I want my relationship to be XYZ with my parent or my kid or with my beloved, or I want to call in my beloved. It doesn't matter what the goal is. So we're talking about money, but it doesn't have to be about money. We operate from a place of habit. which the conscious mind is comfortable with. The conscious mind likes habit. It likes to know what it knows. That gives the conscious mind a false sense of security. The conscious mind says, I know what I know, and therefore I'm safe.
Right.
The problem with this, the invitation, opportunity with this, is that the subconscious mind, which accounts for 95% of all the rest of you, is where all of the realization of your dreams and goals is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's going to happen in the realm of what you haven't done yet.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to get off the shores of what you think you know, what you think is possible for you, what you think, period, and step into here's what's possible. Here's what I'm creating. The conscious mind is very reactive. The subconscious mind, super creative. So step 2, you cannot solve the problem of what hasn't happened yet
Mm-hmm.
from the stance of what has happened already. The past is no indication of the future. The present is, because the future hasn't happened yet. So that's step number 3, is you make decisions in the present moment that take you a step closer to what it is that you want. You know, if the conscious mind could have figured out whatever you think your problems are, it would have. So, right. You know, the subconscious mind is the place of all possibility. Now, how do you access your subconscious mind? Right? This is the question. There are so many ways to do it. And I teach my clients, you know, multiple ways, from different breathing techniques, different EFT, emotional freedom technique tapping, which is a way to bypass the subconscious mind, various meditations. You know, there are lots of ways to train your brain. EMDR is another one. Even being outside in nature, or being in water, jumping in the ocean, or jumping in a lake, or being in the bath, or being in the shower, are ways to access a part of you that is perceiving more. So in broad strokes, if we just look at it neurologically, in broad strokes, everything that's coming in is vibration, which your brain then translates into sound or touch or taste, etc. So how do you activate the subconscious mind? Do things that involve your senses. That's the quickie answer. Yeah. You know, even like just stroking your arms like this is going to move your awareness out of fight or flight into the higher cortical area. So now you're going to have communication between the subconscious and the conscious mind. Right. So anything that involves you sensing and feeling and perceiving, not analyzing. If you're analyzing, you've already missed the boat. So go back to sensing. Go for a walk in nature. Smell the spices in your spice cabinet. Yeah. Listen to music. There's so many ways. Does that help?
Yeah. And one thing I want to ask was about how does our breathing have to do with our health and our, you know, like I'm, you know, we've heard lots of times about breathing and all of that. So can we talk about like how that can help with our minds, our mindsets, our money, all of that?
It's a great question, because of course breath is available 24/7, and breath is constantly flowing in and it's constantly flowing out. So it's a beautiful teacher. It's a beautiful mirror for you with your relationship with money. And when you breathe in, go ahead and just allow yourself to close your eyes. If you're listening, close your eyes and breathe in through the nose. And breathe in more through the nose. And just hold the breath for a moment. And begin to feel and sense and perceive an inner pulsation. And exhale through the mouth. Just become aware of what you sense, what you perceive, what you feel. And again, inhaling through the nose. This time acknowledging that you are breathing from the one envelope of air that surrounds the entire planet. We're all breathing from that same one envelope of air. Sip in more. Pause. Feel the pulsation. And exhale you back to the one. And let's expand that again. Breathing in through the nose. Breathing the universe into you. That's what's happening with each breath. Whether you have been aware or not, now you are. You're breathing the universe into you. You're breathing all possibility into you. Pause. Feel this pulsation of life force. Pure energy, of pure potential. The universe is in you now, and you're also in the universe. Exhale you out to the universe. And we'll do one more breath just like that, breathing the universe into you, inhaling through the nose. Sip in more breath, allowing more and more of the universe to fill you. Challenge your capacity to receive even more pure potential, even more abundance. You're in the universe, and the universe is in you. Let every cell of you receive this good news, this pulsation of life force, this universal intelligence. And let the universe stay in you. And allow you to exhale. And what you're offering, your wisdom, your gifts, your experience, exhale that out to the universe. And when you're ready, come back into the space, open your eyes. And just notice what you feel. Just notice what you feel. So when the question is, what does my breath have to do with my health and my wealth? Your breath is the source of your wealth and your health. Your breath is the source of your true wealth and health. Because without breath, you're a shell, right? Your breath is animating you. Your breath is enlivening you. Your breath is nourishing you. And once it comes in, we call it your breath, but it's the same breath we're all breathing. We all have the same potential. Mm-hmm. We're all equally deserving. And when we're in a state of stressed outness, we actually downregulate the immune receptors on our cells, which means we are more prone to inflammation. We get sick more often. We have digestive issues. We're quick to anger. Those are all signs of inflammation. And we feel a kind of dis-ease, right? We feel uncomfortable.
Right.
We feel awkward. Perhaps we have chronic low-level pain. And if that's left unattended, if we keep ignoring it and overriding it, eventually that becomes disease, right? And your breath is constantly replenishing. It's constantly bringing in new, and the out breath is taking away. It's effortlessly all by itself releasing toxins and CO2 and metabolic waste. The body knows how to take in and how to let go. Right. And yet the ego doesn't know that well how to receive, which is why we're like, oh, no, you don't have to pay me, right? That's a sign of not being a good receiver. And we also don't know how to let go of things, right? We stay stuck on, well, that contract fell through, so I expect every contract in the future to fall through. No, that's not true. That contract fell through because there was something about that contract that was not supposed to work out for you, and there's something better waiting for you.
I feel the same way. Every time something doesn't happen, I'm like, okay, wasn't meant to be. Wasn't meant to be, but something else will be in, and it always does. You know, you just got to keep pushing and not be consistent and not give up.
Yeah.
So how do we clear a money block? So, you know, that's a big thing. And I'm sure, as we were talking about before, you know, having this, I'm not good enough, I shouldn't be paid this much. How do we clear that?
Again, big question, lots and lots of ways. I recommend that if you know that you have a money story that is not creating the kind of life that you want, that you be deliberate about seeking out resources that can help you. There are a lot of free resources. There's a whole bunch of stuff on YouTube. There's a whole bunch of stuff on Google. There's a whole bunch of, meditations. There are a whole bunch of free summits, free online courses. Connect with me. I also offer a whole bunch of free stuff. So there's a whole bunch of free stuff out there. You may get as far as you need to go with the free stuff. When I did this work, I did a lot of free stuff, and I got a little wiggle room. I got enough wiggle room to see, I need someone who's an expert in this to help me go farther. But I wasn't ready to make the investment yet. So my next step, I love to read, was read. So I just read voraciously. I just read a ton of books. I journaled a ton. I wrote things down. And, that also created a little bit more wiggle room where I could see, okay, like I really want to go deeper. Like I need somebody hold my hand and help me cross the river so I can get from where I am to where I want to be. So, next step is check out books. There are tons of resources again online. You can go to Amazon, find, some books on money. There are thousands of books on money. I'm happy to make recommendations if you want to reach out to me, and start reading. Every day read, every day read, every day listen, every day pay attention to what you're paying attention to. And then, third level, okay, well, I'm going to go deeper. I'm going to invest in somebody who's done this work, who can help me. Find somebody who has done the inner work that you resonate with, and reach out to them and say, hey, I want to work with you. What's the investment? I'm ready to clear my money block. Now, if you have a money block, know ahead of time, and this is so obvious, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you have a money block, know ahead of time that the very first thing that's going to come up for you when you talk to somebody to help you clear your money block is, guess what? I don't have the money. That's exactly why you need to have a deeper conversation with that person about what's going to happen on the other side after you clear the money block.
Yeah.
I and every 6- and 7-figure entrepreneur I know has invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in personal development. Yes. And I can say that from where I now stand because I turn a $10K investment into a $100,000 return. I turn a $100,000 investment into $1 million return. Yeah. And if that's not your mindset of, I'm going to clear my money block and then some, you're going to struggle. So you really have to get behind yourself. You really have to, decide for yourself, this is so important. What I'm doing is so important. It's important for my kids. It's important for future generations. It's important for my clients. It's important for the planet. You have to have such a fire in your belly that there is no plan B. There is no escape hatch. You're not going to look at the contract and be like, well, how do I get out of this?
Yeah.
That's not the question you want to be asking if you're here to clear a money block. Right. If you're here to clear money block, the question is, what else is possible? What have I not, explored that could be of benefit to me? Right. What's amazing about me?
Right. Yeah. Just started offering my coach one-on-one, but I'm now doing this program, which I believe we've met in. So it's definitely a different mindset. It's a different conversation. Everybody that I've offered this amazing 1-year program, and everyone that has been in my workshop loves what I'm giving, so much content, writing like crazy. They love it to death. And then when they get to the program piece and they really want to be in it, the first thing they say is, I just don't have the money. And so it's a different conversation, and it is definitely tough. So, and of course with COVID and people losing their jobs, and everybody's in an uncertain place right now. So, or a lot of people are anyway. But so I know you have to go soon, this has been so great. I could talk forever on this money thing because it takes time. It is a mindset, and it's definitely big. But I have a final question. If someone is afraid to be seen and is not confident, how do they clear this block?
I have this block. I shared with you that I'm a filmmaker. And I spent many, many, many years of my career behind the camera so that you never saw me. I spent many years in the edit room so that you never saw me. I was very good at hiding and saying, it's not about me, which is code for I don't matter. Just let that land.
Yeah.
If you're afraid to be seen, it's because on some level, you're carrying a subconscious belief that if somebody sees you, they're going to judge you, And you're probably saying if they see you, they're going to judge you negatively. They're not going to like you. They're not going to approve of you. They're going to find a fault with you. You're so worried about judgment. It's been so painful for you to be judged in the past, or it's been so humiliating, or it has felt really unsafe to be judged, or it's felt really unsafe to be visible. So your nervous system is protecting you. And everything that's happening is unfolding perfectly for you 24/7. There is no exception to this. Every challenge that you're experiencing is created for you, by you, so that you can see your subconscious conditioning. And so if you're afraid of being seen, which I was, I hid. And that was convenient. It protected me. It meant nobody could see me, which meant nobody could like me. Nobody could hear my voice. Nobody could say, hey, I want to work with you. It was super, super safe. So recognize there's a benefit to you not being visible. Your clients can't find you, and that's a good thing if you don't want to have money. That's a good thing if you don't want to be responsible for your reality. That's a good thing if you don't want to, grow. It's a really good thing for you to hide if that's your highest priority, if your safety is your highest priority. And the reason it's going to feel like that is because in your wiring, in your earliest conditioning, it felt safest for you to hide. Maybe it was even just like, don't talk during the dinner table. Don't talk at the dinner table. So you learn to zip it. Or, we don't talk like that. So you just learn to zip it. So you learned that you would be loved if you zipped it, if you were quiet, if you went invisible, then, you were deemed acceptable and lovable. Right. And you got to clear that. So here's what my mentor, John Assaraf, gave me. He's one of my mentors. And this was in my very first year of business. And he said, I want you to go live on video for 100 days in a row. Oh, and I still can't believe that I had the nerve to say this to him, but I said, isn't there something else I can do? This John Assaraf, he is an expert in the money mindset space, right? And he's like, Deborah, here's what I think you should do. And, he's giving me his advice. I bow down to him. I look up to him. And he said, here's what I think you should do. And I'm like, oh, no, I don't want to do that. And he's like, are you coaching me or am I coaching you? That's not what he said. But he's like, what? I told you what my best recommendation is. You can either do it or not. Actually, he probably didn't say that either. But whatever the gist was that I understood was, okay, he's made a recommendation, and me being a people pleaser and wanting his approval, I don't even know if he even saw the videos. But, I took it to heart. My coach said, do this, so I did it. And part of developing a rock solid, unshakable, unwavering money mindset is working with somebody who will help you see your blind spots. So when he said do 100 days of money mindset videos, actually he didn't say do 100 days of money mindset videos, he said do 100 days of videos. Mm-hmm. So I actually did 108 days of videos. And this was back in 2017, I think, 2017.
Okay.
So it was a while ago. And I did 100 days of videos, and they're still out there. And I'm sure I look super unconfident. I'm sure in the very first video, I think I thought I turned off the camera, but I didn't. So my iPhone's pointing at the ceiling. I just did everything perfectly imperfect. Yes. And all my stuff came up. It was like, what am I going to say? What are people thinking? Nobody's watching this. I'd go live and there'd be 0, little eyeball thing, and there'd be 0. And I'd be like, oh, clearly I'm just stupid. I'm making an idiot of myself. I just faced all of my deepest, darkest fears. And guess what happened? My business exploded. Right. Exploded. Yeah. People started finding me from all over the world. Yeah. Because I made myself visible. Yeah. So, what's going to happen when you pick up that gauntlet of, go live? You could go live for 40 days. You could go live for 10, but consistently show up every day, even when you're scared, even when you don't know what to say, even when you're tired, even when, you're sad, even when you're mad, just show up being yourself. Because what I discovered in that was my full humanity was on display. There were days where I was in tears, and I'd turn on the camera and I'd be boo-hoo-hoo. I'm just sad today, and I'm sharing with you that I'm sad today, or I'm happy today, or I just got out of the swimming pool, or whatever. It was just people get to know you, and they get to fall in love with the realness, the humanity of you. It's not about being a perfect person. Perfect people who can relate to perfect people.
No, I know. Nobody, and then they trust me, they want to work with you. So I can relate to that because I am, as a producer, I like to be behind the camera. I don't like being in front of the camera. And people might think that's crazy. And I have a big personality, but I just don't. It makes me nervous. But I started doing it last year, and I've been doing it every week consistently, unless I had something come up, but consistently. And now I enjoy it and I love it. And I do it as an interview. I started as an interview. I do now can go on and do my own thing and stuff. So, but I promise you that if you just show up and you do it, it will get easier and it'll be second nature, and you'll be like, what was I afraid of? And it gets better and better. And who cares if you mess up? You just keep going, you just keep going. So, but I know you have to go, and I am so grateful for you, Dr. Deborah. This has been so amazing, such great information. You're just a wealth of amazingness. So thank you so much for joining us. And please tell everyone, how can they reach you? Like, where can they go to find you?
Thanks so much for having me. I love talking about money. I know it's super taboo and I'm not scared of it. So I love to have the conversation. So thanks for that. So I have an amazing Facebook group that's called the Anatomy of Money Academy. Anatomy of Money Academy. And I do all kinds of fun stuff in there. I do an Anatomy of Money lab where you actually can learn about the money chakras and how do you dial them up, turn them up so that abundance is your natural state. I'm doing 100 days of money bites right now. And we're on about day, 56 or 7. And I added in an abundance diet, which is 30 things to eliminate so that abundance flows naturally. Okay. And you can join that. All those videos will be up there. They just live there, and you're in an amazing community, an international community of heart-centered, mission-driven entrepreneurs who want to make money doing what they love, being unapologetically themselves. So I'd love for you to join me there.
Yeah, that's great. And that was a Facebook group in case anyone missed it, because we had a little glitch in the video, in the live stream. So Anatomy of Money Academy, her Facebook group, join her there. So happy to have you. Thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll be here again. Next week, I think actually I'm off next week. So, but we'll be back. So happy you came. See you guys.
Thank you.
Here, bye.